कॉम्प्लेक्स डेडली डिबेटेबल शकुन बात्रा की गहराइयां ने एक तूफान खड़ा किया है सोशल मीडिया पे। पीपल लव इट, हेट इट, एब्सोल्युटली लव इट एंड एकदम टोटल हेट इट। लेकिन आखिर ऐसा क्या है इस फिल्म में कि इतने डिफरेंट रिएक्शंस मिल रहे हैं? वेलकम टू सिनेमास लेटेस्ट पॉडकास्ट। मैं हूं श्रीराम और सिनेस्तान.com के डेप्यूटी एडिटर सोनल पांड्या और प्रिंसिपल करस्पॉन्डेंट केयूर सेता के साथ आज मैं गहराइयां की सारी गहराइयां पार करने जा रहा हूं।
So let's start with you, Sonal. You reviewed the film for Cinestan.com and you thought it was brilliant because you gave it 4 stars. Tell me what you liked about it. What was so impressive?
The performances I thought were very well done, especially Deepika Padukone. I think it's one of her best performances so far. The last third act, what her character goes through and the way she portrays it. There are very few actresses who could do that on screen. I thought Siddhant was also very good with his character and what he goes through. There's still a lot that we don't know about Zen at the end. I did feel that. But I thought Siddhant put it forward, very well. And then there is Ananya Panday and then also Dhairya, Karwa. I thought their characters were very, alike to each other, because they had this easy relationship between one another. But they weren't up to the mark as what Deepika and Siddhant were. That's what I felt at least.
Right, like 4 stars is like to a level. So, utna impressive kya tha? Because for me, I watched the film.
I thought the direction was really good in the sense that, Shakun Batra, last week also I had revisited his first film, and I thought from what he started out with and what he's come to this, I thought the film was really impressive for me in that sense. And there are these days the Indian films don't surprise us and shock us anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's very little of that that happens. And I thought this did it for me. And, we're constantly complaining that, we're not seeing something different, we're not seeing something new. Well, here it is,
True. I'll agree with that. Utna main agree karunga because I thought the film was very well made. Shakun Batra did a fantastic job in layering. Jo Gehraiyaan, that term sticks to it because every time there's a new layer to the personality that comes through. So he has done that fantastically. But a brilliant example of that is I read Keyur's personal blog, which was very interesting. He compared it to reading a James Hadley Chase novel. So Keyur, इसके बारे में बताओ, ये comparison कहाँ से मिला? James Hadley Chase and गहराइयाँ is 2 different universes.
नहीं, ये जरा भी मेरा इंटेंशन नहीं था कि मैं इसको जेम्स हेडली चेज के साथ कंपेयर करूंगा। मेरा इंटेंशन ये था कि मैं ये जो एक उसमें कैरेक्टर, मैं बताऊंगा नहीं, स्पॉइलर हो जाएगा इसलिए, कि उसमें एक कैरेक्टर है जो बहुत ही सेल्फिश है, मतलब वन ऑफ द मोस्ट सेल्फिश कैरेक्टर्स आई हैव कम अक्रॉस इन रीसेंट टाइम्स। तो मुझे ये लगा कि मैं उस कैरेक्टर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से पूरी कहानी कहूँ, और वो कहानी मैंने कह दी, पूरा टाइप कर दिया। उसके बाद मुझे रियलाइज हुआ कि अरे ये तो मतलब जेम्स हेडली चेज के जो डार्क कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं वो अपनी कहानी जब बताते हैं अपने बुक में तो इसी तरह से बताते हैं। तो वो बाद में स्ट्राइक हुआ, वो जरा भी इंटेंशन नहीं था कि मैं इसको जेम्स हेडली चेज के साथ कंपेयर करूंगा या कैरेक्टर को भी कंपेयर करूंगा। वो बाद में अपने आप हो गया। शायद इसलिए भी हो सकता है कि मैंने बहुत सारी उनकी बुक्स पढ़ी है और मैं उनको बहुत ही ग्रेट मानता हूँ, इसलिए शायद सबकॉन्शियस में मेरा वो रह गया और उससे हो गया है, मुझे लगता है।
इसके बारे में अलग सेशन करना पड़ेगा, केयूर सेता एंड जेम्स हेडली चेज। लेकिन coming back to that, Sonal, I think that is one of the, I've read a lot of coverage of Gehraiyaan, and the reason the decision among people is so split is because a lot of people think that it's easy with the music, with the lovely scenes of people on the yacht and stuff. They went in looking for a nice, easy breezy romance. What they ended up getting was a complex noir.
Yeah, I myself was reminded of Matchpoint and The Talented Mr. Ripley after watching this movie, and I didn't mind this noir element of it. The marketing might have thought, it directed people into a certain way that this is going to be like a triangle sort of a thing, and then it turns into something else. But I thought that this was clever, that you aren't showing everything in the trailer and you're keeping the real heart of the film as something else. Because again, we also complain that, you've shown the whole film practically in the trailer. So here's a film that actually keeps its cards to the vest and it's showing you that, okay, there is something entirely different to it altogether. So that I thought was really interesting. And of course, some people may feel gypped about it and angry and be like, oh, this is not what I signed up for,
Right. And Rekha, pointing again, connecting that mystery to James Hadley Chase's writing, Keyur, writing में हमेशा there is the element of discovery, right? जहाँ पे you discover कि crime कैसे हुआ and how it all unfolds. लेकिन with technology, one of the drawbacks is Truecaller नाम की एक चीज है जो लोग ट्विटर पे पूछ रहे हैं कि why does Ananya Panday's Tia never check Truecaller? She would easily find out. And doesn't she remember her cousin's number, considering she has called her so many times when it popped up on the phone? These were the loopholes that were my problem. जब मैं फिल्म देखता हूँ कि एक तो ये loopholes है. Secondly, my problem is that the characters' reactions don't match the reactions of people to emotions in my head. Right? मैं जब देखता हूँ लोगों को कि इस situation में लोग कैसे react करेंगे, वो नहीं कर रहे. Is that a flaw on my part?
Can you explain that a little bit?
नहीं. For instance, a great example would be कि when Zayn flirts with Deepika Padukone, right?
The first time, yeah.
I understand कि I should not judge people or characters on their action, लेकिन because it is my professional job to do so. Interesting कि she doesn't react offensively, because I have, in my mind, the first thing would be that this guy looks like a cad. Why go to him? And considering you have come from a traumatic experience of your mom, the first reaction would be defensive. Right? So these are elements that kind of stuck as oddities to me.
I see. Okay. Well, I didn't mind that in the movie, because I thought that at that moment where they all go to Alibag initially, all of their relationships are a little bit unsteady anyway, right? She doesn't have a very close relationship with Tia, who is her cousin. And with Karan also, they are a little bit fighting with his profession and what he's doing and the household. So they are on an unsteady ground. So she is sort of not that offended also, I feel, at the first time.
Right. Again, मुझे एक और problem था कि the characters of Tia and Karan, which is Dhairya Karwa and Ananya Panday's characters, they are not as involved. We see possibly it's the writing space, but they are their reactions and to the suspicion that their so-called lovers might be entangled in something else is very superficial. They feel very blasé about it.
But they never really suspect, right? That's the whole thing in the movie. They never really do suspect. And the tension in the film is that what if they will? Initially, before the second half, I thought that the latter half of the film would be this whole big blow-up of the discovery of the affair,
I felt the same, yeah. I was expecting the same.
And, thinking back to Shakun's second film, there, it's a little bit of a spoiler. There is an affair that is discovered there also. You guys remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Kapoor
that
and
also
Sons.
leads, in Kapoor and Sons, and that also leads to a shocking incident that happens to the person who cheats, right?
Yes.
If you guys can recall that. And another connection to, Kapoor and Sons is that Alia's character is also called Tia.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me, somebody once told that filmmakers keep making the same film till they make it perfectly.
Yeah. And then, of course, the other level to Gehraiyaan was also this trauma that is there, what a lot of people are calling it, So, this thing that do we really want to become our parents, which Alicia is fighting against throughout the film. And then, she doesn't want to be stuck like her mother. And then she realizes that, she's repeating the same mistakes all over again. I thought that was also very well done, because sometimes, as long as the more you try to fight it, the more it happens that you end up doing that same thing only.
Interesting. That's a new perspective. I'm looking at it now.
That's what I brought from the film, That's why I was able to empathize with her, I'm not saying relate at all, because these people, they lie and cheat and they do some very wrong things and hurting the people that are closest to them. But even though they do all these things, you are able to empathize. even a little bit with Zen. I mean, he goes off the rails for sure, but, you think that, at this point he's trying to just put it together. He's like, if I can just do this and I can do this, my life will get back to normal. But, by then the wheels have turned so far that he can't go back.
No, Zen threw up a lot of red flags from the beginning for me. So I was kind of on
we were maybe the female population was just fooled by his good looks.
Yeah, possibly. Keyur, to bring you into the conversation, काफी देर से silent हो. One, नॉर का एक element है, लेकिन another problem that I see with the film is there are बहुत सारे elements एक साथ mix होते हैं, बहुत सारे genres possibly. There is the entire corporate thing, there is the emotional angle, there is the trauma, there is the psychological drama in a way. So how did you find that challenging or confusing? क्योंकि एक से दूसरे में shift होता रहता है वो film. It's not one single layer.
अच्छा नहीं, मुझे जरा भी कंफ्यूजिंग या प्रॉब्लमेटिक नहीं लगा ये जो तुमने कहा वो, और वैसा मैं उस तरह से देखा भी नहीं मैंने फिल्म को. मेरे लिए क्या था कि स्टार्टेड ऑफ एज एन एक्स्ट्रा मैरिटल, और एक्स्ट्रा मैरिटल तो नहीं कह सकता क्योंकि उनकी शादियां नहीं हुई थी. ये जो चीटिंग वाली कहानी मुझे लगी पहले, जो ऑब्वियसली थी, जो ट्रेलर से भी दिखाया, तो ऐसे चीटिंग को एक्सप्लोर किया है, लेकिन बाद में धीरे धीरे वो ऐसे इमोशनल ड्रामा बन जाता है और उसके बाद सीधा क्राइम थ्रिलर बन जाता है. और वो ऐसे होता है कि मतलब मुझे ये समझ में ही नहीं आया कि कब इसने जॉनर और ये सब चेंज किया, और इसके थ्रू मैं बहुत ही मतलब अलग से यू कैन से रोलर कोस्टर राइड पे चला गया. तो ये मैंने फिल्म को इस तरह से देखा. और आई फुल्ली एंजॉयड इट. आई कैन इवन वॉच इट फॉर द सेकंड टाइम. और दूसरा मुझे क्या एक अच्छा लगा कि यू जस्ट पॉइंटेड आउट कि आई थिंक सोनल पॉइंटेड आउट कि नॉर्मली आजकल ट्रेलर्स में सब कुछ दिखा देते हैं कि मतलब आप पूरी फिल्म की कहानी आपको पता चल जाती है ट्रेलर देख के. और मुझे लगा था गहराइयां में भी ये है, लेकिन मैंने फिल्म देखी उसके बाद आई रियलाइज कि अरे ये तो स्टार्टिंग का ही दिखाया है, और बाकी कितना सारा जो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है मतलब सेकंड हाफ का या इवन सेकंड हाफ के पहले का भी वो लोग ने ज्यादा दिखाया नहीं है. तो ये मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगा कि ये लोग ने कुछ दिखाया नहीं और सब छुपा के रखा, और इस तरह से ऑडियंस को मतलब मुझे खास करके इस तरह की एक राइड पे लेके गए जो मुझे बहुत ही मतलब मुझे किक मिली, मैं ये कह सकता हूँ. खास करके जो वेरी लास्ट मोमेंट था, जो मैं बताऊंगा नहीं, जो तभी एक बहुत बड़ा झटका लगता है. तो हाँ, वो एक, तो इसके वजह से मुझे तो मतलब बहुत ही बढ़िया लगी फिल्म.
हाँ, another point which is brilliant and has been slowly established through Shakun Batra's films is aesthetics. इस फिल्म में aesthetics का use अलग ही level पे, and that is one of the reasons, like we mentioned Sonal, we talk about noir. The reason that genre or any genre doesn't kick in is because the aesthetics of the film is so fluid and constant.
Yeah, so even here, like if you see the colors also, they're not so popping, they are a little muted, like sort of a bluish tinge is there on the whole film, sort of like that Gehraiyaan in between the waves that we keep seeing in transitions and stuff, So that is there. I thought that was just, talking about the first mood of the film, because it opens also very, unsettling, when Alicia's character as a young girl is moved away from her family, and then she's wondering, and then we move into, the real story and stuff. So I thought that was also like a little hint of what was to come later. I mean, now that you reflect about it. But the third act where it changes also, I felt that it somehow reminded me a little bit of Bazigar also, that moment that changes that whole thing in the film, and it's slightly flipped over here. But I thought that it was like just this shock, and you're like, oh my God, where is this going to go now? So I thought Shakun Batra and his writers and his team, they did a good job of putting that together. And of course, that this has got a lot of people riled up. They are either loving it or, of course, hating it, and hating it a lot also, which is also surprising.
No, which is a good thing, because that is what filmmakers want to do. We want to build a conversation around what we create. I mean, that is the best thing that can happen to any publicity. The last film I remember which created such conversation was Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, if I'm not wrong. That is the one strongest. If there's any other film, remind me to.
You mean the one with Karan Johar, which was also around cheating?
Yes. Adultery. Shah Rukh Khan and adultery. People were shocked and surprised.
Yeah, but the thing that is different from that film and what's different from this film is that in that film you could root for the two characters to get together. After a certain point, do we really want Alicia and Zen to get together? Maybe not.
Yeah, it's not healthy. By the way, Keyur, is that why people are angry about the film? Why is the reason? Have you tried figuring that out? Because I'm still trying to figure my head around the film.
I don't know what are the reasons given, but the I think common reason given is that people are finding this wasn't handled in a good way. This is what I've been reading on social media, and at the same time there are a lot of you can say sanskari people who are saying कि अरे आपने cheating को justify किया है और ये क्या है, मतलब इतने सारे kissing scenes, इतने सारे F words, ये reason से बहुत लोगों को फिल्म पसंद नहीं आ रही, ये भी मैंने देखा। तो आई थिंक ये दो चीजें मैंने नोटिस की है पिछले कुछ दिनों में।
इंटरेस्टिंग, मुझे वो एक डिस्कनेक्ट लगा था क्योंकि फॉर इंस्टेंस जब अलीशा दीपिका पादुकोण कैरेक्टर गेट्स द मैसेज दैट हम लोग फेरी से नहीं जा रहे, वी हैव अ यॉट, तो मेरा भी वही डिस्कनेक्ट था कि ऐसा कैसा मुंबई में यॉट मिलता है लोगों को। लेकिन दैट इज अनदर एलिमेंट ना। फॉर इंस्टेंस आई वाज स्पीकिंग टू a producer a while ago and he said कि a lot of filmmakers in India are starting to move international. They are not just basing their techniques on international filmmakers, they are also building their content and style around international filmmakers, which is alienating them from the mass audience. Is that a problem?
I don't see why it should be a problem. I mean, because you've got the Indian diaspora, if you're reaching out to them across, the whole globe, they're located everywhere. And they might be attracted to that kind of a film, So you can make one film that's for the masses as well, and you can make it for, a different kind of audience as well. Of course, Gehraiyaan will not appeal to somebody who maybe likes a Pushpa or whatever. But I mean, you never know. The filmmaker has to make what they know best, right? And if they want to change their style slightly, they should.
True. But that also brings up the question whether OTTs are changing people's taste. Ek cheez I'll constantly agree, and we all three are in agreement about it, is Deepika Padukone's fantastic acting. The scene with her and Rajat Kapoor in the car, and the scene with her and Naseeruddin Shah are the brilliant emotional graphs of a character. I thought it was fantastic when she changes.
Definitely. I thought that, there are very few actresses and actors also who can cry very well, and make you feel for them. That scene with Naseeruddin Shah in that room at the end was just really, really brilliant. And it's going to stick with me for a very long time, With the honest conversation that a father and a daughter have. How about you, Keyur?
Yeah, I also felt that. I mean, those scenes were really appealing. And what I would like to say is that before watching Gehraiyaan, I used to feel Deepika is a good enough actress. मतलब कर लेती है काम ठीक से. But after watching Gehraiyaan, my opinion about her has really changed. Now I really look up to her as a very good performer. And you can say I am a fan. Earlier I was just saying she is a good actress. But now I have become a fan going by how she has acted in this film, and especially in the ending moment. So yeah, this is what I felt about her.
I also thought Siddhant Chaturvedi did well, although his character मेरे को पसंद नहीं है. I have a lot of problems with his character and his actions, which cannot be justified. लेकिन I thought he did well to play that charming, talented Mr. Ripley kind of player.
Yeah. So, I mean, this role is also complex for any young actor who's coming out, I would say that if he has got, this is what his fourth film, I think.
Yeah.
Fourth film. For his fourth film, I think it shows that, he has that extra something that can take him forward.
True. One word for another actor who has a very short role but makes an impact. It's actually two actors. One is Naseeruddin Shah sir and Rajat Kapoor sir. Both brilliant performances. They don't need a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Rajat Kapoor's character, obviously, in the first half, he doesn't get much to do. So you're wondering, why is he there? And then, of course, in the second half, it becomes much more clearer. And, he is a guy who handles it all. I don't think Alicia would have been able to manage it, I think, I don't know, it's a little bit of a spoiler. I think she may have gone ahead and done something, confessed maybe to Tia. I don't know. Maybe she might have.
Yeah. I thought Ananya Panday's character was a little wasted. I didn't see the entire graph of it. I didn't see it develop into something. Except for providing the drive for Deepika Padukone's Alicia.
Right, you don't see much to her. Like we at the end of the film, we still don't know what she does, right? All these other people have a profession, except for her. And there's that whole thing with her mother also. They have a relationship, but they're still distant. It's only over the phone, When she goes back to the US, there's no scenes with her either. So it's just this, we are seeing her. I feel we see a lot of things through Alicia only in the film,
Right, yeah. So that's an interesting perspective. Keyur, detective novel fan, what did you think of the writing of the film?
I think the writing was very impressive. Like I said, we never realized how it changed genres and changed subject and how it took the audience to a different ride. So I would say the screenplay was very, very effective for me. And
dialogue थोड़े weak लगे.
डायलॉग मुझे लगा कि वो लोग को रियलिस्टिक रखना था, इसलिए बस नॉर्मल डे टू डे कन्वर्सेशन में कैसे बात करेंगे वैसे वो लोग ने रखा है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है. मुझे ये देख के ऐसा लगा कि उनको जानबूझ के ऐसा कुछ फिल्मी नहीं रखना था और ज्यादा कुछ ऐसे ड्रामा नहीं रखना था. उनको बस रियल लोग कैसे बात करेंगे आज के टाइम के वैसे दिखाना था, ऐसा मैं समझता हूँ.
ओके, अगर रियल लोग करण के जैसे जोक मारते हैं तो वो दोस्त नहीं बनते.
No, but if they started spouting heavy, if they started speaking, in really complicated language or whatever, I think then it would have turned off people even more. That's what I feel. So I think they were just keeping it casual as how any young person would talk.
Right. So in all, another second round for Gehraiyaan?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely. But I think I would need some time. I want to watch it after maybe some time has passed and then see how I feel about it. I mean, I really did like it very much so, but I feel I would discover some more things that I didn't notice the first time around.
Possibly. मैं भी उसी एंगल से देख रहा हूँ क्योंकि I'm like, it's a good film, but I'm not blown over the water with it. But maybe it's one of those films when you look at it after a while again, after 6 months down the line or a year down the line, you discover something else, possibly.
Yeah. I guess I was open to something different. Like I knew that I wasn't expecting the usual what we had seen before. So I was, pleasantly surprised, and also the depth of Deepika's performance, it really, made me say that, this is something better than what is out there for sure right now.
I think that's a good talk. We have that covered.
अगर आपको ये पॉडकास्ट पसंद आया और ये डिबेट पसंद आया तो लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब जरूर कीजिएगा और हमें बताइएगा. और अगर नहीं पसंद आया तब भी हमें बताइएगा, हमें सुनने का बहुत शौक है.